everybody. Welcome to Synchronicity Proximity. What a freaking name. I am very excited for this training and this masterclass. This is a very important conversation, and in my opinion, the most important conversation for coaches, mentors, and clients. So I'm very excited. And welcome if you're here with me live on an amazing Saturday morning. I'm always so impressed when I see people join me on a Saturday morning because the fact that you're here just speaks volumes. So I'm very happy to spend some time with you guys today. So I'm going to share a little bit of context of what this masterclass is and who is participating and who is here right now, because this masterclass is actually an added module to the Karma program. So you might be here right now live or watching the replay if you participated in my Karma program with me when I ran it live in January of this year, or maybe you are in or were in the collective at that time and you did the full Karma program with me. So I would love to know if you are here, if you've already gone through the full Karma program with me, whether you did it live, whether you've been in the collective or recently got access to the collective, if you had a chance to binge it. This masterclass is actually part of the Karma program, but I also decided to sell it and do it as a separate entity as well. So you might be here if you purchased the masterclass separately or part of the masterclass bundle that we put out there recently. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows about this. You started to watch some of it last night, because if you are here and you are just part of purchasing this class separately or the bundle and you want to go deeper and really master the work, that is in the full Karma program, and you can upgrade if you choose to. Okay. So this work and the conversation that we're going to have today is about coach client dynamics, specifically on the client end. Collective OG, I screamed when it was said. I'm so happy. And so this is a very interesting conversation. Before I even get into the work of it, I find this very interesting because I believe, and maybe you experience this by going through the Karma program with me, or maybe you'll realize this after this masterclass, is this is actually the most important work, but we don't realize it until after we go through a program of the information that's in it. So many people took Karma with me at the beginning of this year and they were like, I don't even know what this is about. And then they go in it and they're like, holy crap, everyone needs this. Like, that has been the response from Karma, and I can guarantee this will be the response of this masterclass. And so if you're here, you might not have ever really had conversations like this before or heard about mentorship and being a client or being a mentor in this way. And so I'm excited to introduce the conversation with you. It's going to be transformational. For many of you here, whether you've done the Karma program with me before or you already have a firm understanding of these dynamics, I'm excited to deepen it with you. And it's possible that through my teachings, what you've been feeling and what you've already been understanding, you're now able to articulate it in a different way. Have you ever known something, whether it's related to this or anything, and you're like, you know something, like you can feel it, but you don't know how to explain it? And then when you hear someone explain it, you're like, oh my God, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't have the words, or that's what I was feeling, but I didn't have the words. And that's what I found to be also one of the most incredible things that happen for coaches and mentors when I take them through this work. It's like, now I know how to explain it. Now I know how to say it now. And this piece, when it comes to mentorship and coach client dynamics, when you learn how to articulate it, it's really a game changer for you as a mentor and even, as a client. So I'm very, very, very excited. This work I find quite fascinating because I do have like the psychology nerd in me a little bit. Like, I find it just quite fascinating. This work is also very serious, like when we break it down, but the way that I like to teach it is in a very light kind of way. I bring humor to it. It is a very serious thing. But if you guys know me, you know me, like, I'm a serious person, but I've got a little bit of a flair. And if we're going to do this work, I might as well make it a little entertaining and all the things. Okay. So let's dive in. Coaching and mentorship businesses. It's supposed to be as simple as a client hires you, They come into your world, they do the work, the agreement ends, and it's done. Like, it's meant to be that simple. Someone finds you through however they resonate with you, they see what you help people with, they're like, yes, sign me up. They come into a container at whatever proximity, one-to-one, a mastermind, a group program, whatever. They do the work and it ends. It's supposed to just be that simple, but we all know it's actually not that simple, because coaching and mentorship relationships are much more dynamic than that. We've got client projections, we've got comparison, we've got jealousy, we've got pedestaling, we've got, navigating emotional intelligence, fear, inadequacy, pressure, unrealistic pressure put on the container, on the coach, on the mentor. Have you ever experienced this on the coach side, on the client side, on the mentor side? Like, we all know that it's not as simple as someone comes in and it's just, let's go and do the calls, and then we end the call and it's over. It's like based off of, oftentimes, yes, it's a partnership, but we're mostly talking about the client end in this masterclass. It's like how the client is experiencing mentorship and what level of emotional intelligence and mindset they have in the container. But often it's about the relationship they have to the container, aka you. And so it's like, from the client's experience, and maybe there's nothing wrong if you've been this client, because what I've often found is this journey of our self-awareness and having these incredible coach-client relationships is also the journey that we learn about ourselves as we are clients. So maybe it's possible that you've went into a coaching relationship with whatever coach and whatever mentor, and you were like, it's a big deal to sign up for something, right? It's a big deal to pay a lot of money, whatever that means to you, to sign up to work with this person who you're like, they're going to help me transform in whatever area, right? Like, that's a big deal to say yes to yourself, to say yes to a transformation, to say yes to a person. And then you make that transaction, and then all of a sudden you're close to this person that maybe you put on a pedestal. And then on the phone or on the coaching call, it's like, oh my God, that person who's going to change my life is right in front of me. And then all of a sudden the feelings come up around that, whatever that is for you. And that's a different experience for everybody. And so maybe you've went into coaching containers in the past where you had the client or the coach on a pedestal, and all of a sudden you got in there and you treat them like they're some kind of god, and they've got this secret answer. Like, everything they say you take like so literally and so seriously. And what does that feel like? Especially if you've been through that before, like that feels, well, pressure. Well, oh my God, I've got to perform. They've got to perform. I paid for this. This is an investment. Like, a lot of that comes up. Maybe you've experienced a client come in with that frequency, and it's like, whoa, I can feel that this client is so attached to the outcome, so attached to like every single word that I say or every single thing that I am and that I do. And then it's almost like you're like almost afraid of your client. Like, okay, I know that they have this projection, and if I F up, or if I say the wrong thing, or if I make a mistake, like, you're almost afraid. What are they going to do? Are they going to hate me? Are they going to talk about me bad on the internet? Are they going to like refund the whole thing and like cause a thing? Like, it's all of that. It's all of that. So our experience as a coach, as a mentor, as a client requires a very strong, very, very strong mindset, energy, and emotional intelligence. To be a mentor, a coach that can hold all of the clients, and I don't even mean answer the questions and show up to calls. I mean, hold the energy of all different clients. That is a hard thing to do. And so this is where I'm going to be so bold to say, do you want to know why mentorship is so expensive? Why does it cost $100 bajillion? Because a really good mentor has the ability to hold a person, a client, multiple clients in what they're going through in this experience being a client. I said this on one of my calls last week. Maybe you heard me say this. I don't remember exact module. It must have been in the masterclass, doesn't matter, the membership masterclass. And I said, many of my clients over the last few years have said to me, Steph, how are you so solid in your energy? Like, how do you just hold all the clients and all the things? And I'm like, well, there's many reasons why, but that's also why so many people choose me or any solid mentor and will pay a lot of money is because at a certain level, a client needs and requires a mentor who can hold someone in all that they are. And that's something that not everyone can do. Or I believe that our work is constant work of holding ourselves, holding clients. Like, this is actually why mentorship is so expensive. Like, I'm like, this costs a lot. I'm sorry. Like, actually, no, I'm not sorry. But like, it costs a lot because I'm able to hold a lot. And that takes work and that takes energy. And that's, yes, holding clients is my favorite work because it's just, there's something about that when you can feel strong, and it's almost like, what are the words to explain what that is, but it's holding someone in all of this. And so this is why it's so expensive. Now, mentorship is often misunderstood. And this misunderstanding is what often, I believe, creates a lot of problems in coach-client dynamics. And so I want to help you understand the frequency of mentorship so you can hold better spaces for your clients, but also so you can have the self-awareness to hold yourself in as a client in whatever mentorship spaces you are. So a lot of things that I'm going to say, maybe I've already said in the last 10 minutes, your mind is going to be going. And so I encourage you to be a good student, a good client during this time, to have an open heart and an open mind. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do or how to think, but I want you to think about the things that I'm saying. And right away during this class, you might be like, oh my God, yes, 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 I see this. And also things might land in the future as you're growing your coaching skills, your being a client skills, your self-awareness, your mindset, all of these things. Okay. So most people see mentorship as a transaction. I hire you, I pay you, I hire you, now you give me this. Okay. It's like, I see that you're the person who has what I want. You're the person who can guide me. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to hire you. I'm going to show up, but I expect you to give me this. Now, that is a very important part of mentorship. The mentor's role is to deliver what they're selling and to deliver the container and to give to the client. This is obviously part of what we're doing. But mentorship is not just that, it's two-sided. So mentorship is a co-creation. Mentorship is a relationship. So most people think the mentor needs to give and the client, give the client information, wisdom, the coaching, and that's it. But the client needs to be a good client, be open to receive all that the mentor is giving for it to work. Okay. So we're going to talk about the role as a client to be able to be open to receive the benefits of mentorship. So clients can be very closed off, and some people might not even realize this. And this class might bring self-awareness to you, and there's no good or bad, right or wrong. It's just self-awareness. So clients can be extremely closed off, and I'm going to share some examples. And these are the ways how the client gets in their own way from even hearing what the mentor is saying. They can have their coach on a pedestal. What does that mean? That means if you see me as someone who has some secret answer that you don't have, someone who knows everything and everything is perfect, someone who is supposed to be the certain kind of way that you made up in your mind, and if for 1 second I'm not that depiction and I make a mistake or I fumble or whatever, like that can get in your way from truly hearing what I have to say. But not only what I have to say, that will get in the way of you seeing who I actually am. I would say that this is the biggest thing that happens for me in my world. Steph is a millionaire. That's all I see. Steph is a multimillionaire. People just see that. I don't see her heart. I don't see her consistency. I don't see her work ethic. I don't listen to when she talks about mindset. I don't listen to when she talks about how she feels. I don't hear it when she talks about consistency. I don't hear it when she talks about how actually her and her husband like really love to save money and they don't really spend money. I only see the money, and that's all I choose to see. Like that, someone who experiences me in that way will not be able to learn from me because they don't hear what I'm saying and they don't see who I'm being. Maybe this has happened to you before. So if a client comes in with you on a pedestal, they see you as you're this thing on this big hierarchy, and they see you as like this big thing, and it's like they want to be you. They see you as something up there that's maybe unreachable. And so when someone has that depiction and you're teaching them and you're leading with your heart and you're sharing who you are, if they still have you on a pedestal, they're not seeing those things. They're not listening to those things. They just see you as, I need that result. So a client, I mean, I don't think clients come in being like, haha, I have you on a pedestal. It's not like that. They don't realize it. So it's just this self-awareness piece of, one, for you, even as a coach, if you notice this about a client, it's not like, oh, shame on you. It's like, oh, so many of us experience this pedestaling thing and we don't even mean to, and we don't even realize it. And maybe it can be a coaching moment, right? If a client comes into a container with these unrealistic expectations, like, you have a secret, I'm waiting for you to tell me the one secret that will change my life. And they come into a container, and we all know most work, and like, there's no freaking secret. It's like, do all these things and apply and be patient. It's like, that's just not how it works. But if a client comes into a container, have you ever had this where they expect, like, you're going to tell me this one thing that's going to change my life. I'm waiting for you to tell me this one thing. And they hear you talk about all these other things, but the secret answer hasn't landed yet because there is none. It's like, they're coming in, they're asking so many questions, they're sucking the life out of the container. But wait, what is it? But what is it? But what is it? And you're like, like, oh my God, this client wants me to have the secret answer. Like, that's not how it works. But when someone comes in thinking there's a secret answer, they don't hear anything. They're waiting for the secret answer. They're like, I'm waiting for you to tell me the thing that will just land, and then poof, there's results. And it's like, they're not going to hear any of the real work when they're waiting for that. I had that this morning. Someone said, can you tell me your secret to how I get 100K followers? This was my experience inside my biz mastermind. It was the most draining experience. Yeah. And then in relation to that, some clients only want to lean in when their coach is telling them exactly what they want to hear. I'm only going to listen, and I'm only going to apply when I like the advice. When I like oh, you want me to do that? I don't like that. I'm not going to listen to you. I'll come and ask another question later. Oh, what's your answer? Oh, I don't like that answer. No. It's like, if that's the thing of like, I'm coming into coaching, but I'm only going to listen to or be open to receive or apply what I like, that's going to get in the way of the true mentorship relationship and transformation, right? Having weird, competition vibes with the mentor of like, I want to get your results, and I want to be on your trajectory, and I want to get results fast like you, like that kind of energy, unrealistic expectations, or just in general, putting way too much pressure on the coach and the container. I will be as bold to say that unrealistic expectations and pressure from a client that's put on a coaching container, put on themselves, put on the coach, is the number one thing that will create the opposite effect. 0 results, 0 relationship, 0, like, that's the thing that can ruin it. And so isn't this just so incredible to just, bring these things to light? And it might be a mirror as a client, but it might be a mirror as a coach, be like, oh, I can see that some of my clients are doing this, like, interesting, and no judging, but just like, that's how a lot of people come into mentorship relationships, right? So when a client is in this frequency of any of these examples that I just listened, they're not open to truly receive what the mentor is saying or who the mentor is being, because they're so focused on these unrealistic dynamics. A client who is in that frequency is not in the frequency of holding trust, holding love, holding compassion, holding openness. They're in the frequency of pressure. They're in the frequency of, this is a transaction, I need the secret answer, like a very masculine, unaligned thing. But the frequency of mentorship, the frequency of a client who is open to receive, is openness. Like this duality of like, I'm here and I'm intentional and I want to do the work, but it's not crazy pressure, right? It's like this duality that we want to learn how to hold. So the frequency of mentorship is not a transaction. Mentorship is co-creation. Mentorship is a relationship. And a lot of people struggle with this because what are you saying? It's not a transaction, Steph? I paid. It is a transaction. It is. It is. Someone paid. It's a transaction. It's a payment. It's a business expense. It is. But it's not just that. If a client only sees it as that, the whole experience is transactional. Give to me. Have you ever felt like a client was taking from you and you weren't co-creating? Like, have you ever felt like I am giving everything and I am drained, like drained, not just tired because, you know, you have a lot of calls, but like I am drained. This client is taking everything from me. That is an unbalanced coach-client relationship. That is, they're here to squeeze everything out of you. And that's not how it should feel, in my opinion. How it should feel is co-creation. What's your question? Oh, awesome. I want to answer that. Okay, you received that. How did you receive that? Let's go back and forth. This is what I thought about it. This is what I feel about it. Okay, let's go back and forth. Like that kind of energy. I often have clients come in, ask me some questions. I respond. They need some time, whether that's a day or a couple days or a week, to absorb all of the answers. So I respond and there's no response back. That's perfect because they're just letting that land. They're thinking about it. They're right. Versus a client who's like, ask, answer, ask, answer, ask, answer nonstop. And it's like, wait, are you even contemplating that? Are you even going to play with that answer? Are you even letting that land? No, because they see it as transactional. This container cost me $1,000. Well, I better ask 1,000 questions as soon as possible. Like that's where people go. But the way to do it, in my opinion, the right way, for lack of a better term, is be intentional, ask your questions, receive the answer. And if there's a follow-up, there's a follow-up. If there's not, there's not. Having the discernment to be like, thank you, that was the answer. Well, I'm going to sit with that. I'm going to play with that. I'm going to integrate that for the next couple of days. If there's something that comes up, okay, cool. But when someone comes in from a place of lack, from a place of fear, having you on a pedestal, thinking you're going to give a secret answer, you better believe they're going to ask you 3 million questions a day, because that's their way of seeing that that's valuable, instead of surrendering and trusting the process, right? So big. So mentorship is a co-creation. Mentorship is, I want to learn from a mentor because of who they are. I want to learn how to embody the things that they embody. This word embodiment we like to use all the time. Everyone's using this word embodiment. What actually is embodiment? Embodiment is radical change. Embodiment is not information. Embodiment is not an answer. Embodiment is like you become a physical representation of something, right? So I see, for example, clients who do this work with me and really do this work with me embody personal power, confidence, courage, self-trust, self-leadership. I see that embodiment transform in my clients over time. That takes time. That takes an intentional relationship. You don't embody confidence by saying, Steph, how do I be more confident? It's like, I'm going to do the work of when I don't feel confident. I'm going to have conversations with Steph. We're going to bring my confidence back. Embodying confidence doesn't happen from one conversation like that. It happens through a long-term relationship of lots of conversations like that, through the experiences that you're having. I see my clients transform who they are over a year, over 6 months, over 2 years. And that doesn't come from, Steph, tell me how you feel confident. That comes from, maybe that's a question, but then that implementation of that answer happens over a long period of time. Then the client is like, okay, I really thought about your answer about confidence and I tried that on today. And this is how I felt. And this is what it looked like. And then it's deeper, right? That's embodiment. And so how do we gain embodiment? Through mentorship, through time, through our relationship with our mentor, through our mentor modeling, through this surrendering energy, being open to not just what the coach and the mentor is saying, but noticing who the mentor is being, right? Radical transformation through mentorship is embodiment, in my opinion, and that takes a relationship. And a beautiful relationship from a coach-client relationship on the client end looks like opening your heart and your mind to your mentor, being curious, being patient, letting go of unrealistic expectations, taking the coach off the pedestal, surrender, leaning into the container, using the container, asking questions, showing up, but from this aligned energy, not this, I need to suck everything out of the container energy. That's the frequency of like, I've got a mentor, I've got a coach, I've got a teacher in front of me. They've got so much wisdom and so much knowledge and so much experience, and they embody a frequency of things that I want to learn how to embody on a whole nother level. That's done through, I'm going to have a relationship with this person. I'm going to talk to this person like they're a human, not a transaction. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to open my heart and my mind. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to have compassion. Compassion, I believe, is one of the most important things a client can have for their coach. If I feel like a client, especially in close proximity, doesn't have compassion for me, it's like they wouldn't even be let into the container, or that relationship would end very quickly. Because compassion is required, because if we don't have compassion for someone, we have them on a pedestal, or we've got some weird dynamic. Your mentor, your coach, your teacher is not perfect. They're on their own journey. They're modeling all of these things, and as they model the things, they're going to make mistakes. So it's like, one of the most incredible qualities I find my clients can have is compassion, because compassion is in alignment with an open heart and an open mind. And then you can learn more from a person when you're not like, oh, you made a mistake, you're out. Oh, you said the wrong thing, you're canceled. Oh, you said the wrong thing. Like that's not how we co-create. We co-create through compassion. Compassion, so huge, right? So you could hire me. You could hire me and ask me 100 questions a day, suck the life out of the container from a place of control, because you think you need to, because that's the only way to you. Coaching is valuable. How many questions, how much time? Ask everything. Someone could ask me 100 questions and I will give 100 answers. And they ask me those 100 questions from a place of fear and control. I give the most incredible answers, but they hear nothing. They get nothing. Versus someone can hire me and ask me 5 intentional questions. I give 5 amazing answers, and they get more out of the container than the person who asked me 100 questions from a place of fear. Do you feel that difference? Maybe you felt that before in a client's end. So this is why it's like the intentionality piece, the trust piece, the surrender piece. It's not about how much. It's not about ask as much as possible. It's about ask however much you want, but from an intentional, open-ended place. I've seen this happen. I've seen people come in my space, ask everything, and get nothing. I've had people come in my space and ask nothing and get everything. I've seen people ask me 1,000,000 questions. I give 1,000,000 answers. They're like, I got nothing out of this. Excuse me? I've had people come in a mastermind, never ask a question. They only observe, and they're like, this was the greatest place I've ever been in my entire life. And they give the biggest testimonial and they rave about me nonstop. And it's like, what the heck? That difference is everything, because of how the client's intention was. So why do people struggle coming into mentorship with this co-creation relationship kind of energy? Fear of letting go of control. If mentorship is a relationship and relationships require trust, then there's going to be some surrendering that needs to happen in a coach-client dynamic. but people are so afraid to trust themselves, the container, the mentor, the investment, the time. People are so afraid to trust that they're like, I've got to take control of this. I've got to try and take control of this. I've got to ask as much as possible. I've got to get on. I've got to, and that's the frequency. That's a big frequency of why people come into mentorship from a place of fear and not being able to surrender. It's because I can't let go. I can't let go. So something that I often talk about in many different areas is the importance of detachment. I talk about this in money. I talk about this with results, right? The importance of detachment. There is something to be said about someone, a client, going into a mentorship relationship, whatever capacity, one-to-one, mastermind, a program, doesn't even matter, of like, I'm buying mentorship, I'm purchasing this container because I have an intention, obviously. I want to learn something, I want a result, right? That intention, of course, we buy things that we want, we have an expectation, but there's a difference between that and feeling like so constrained and so attached to, I need something and I need this exact thing by a certain period of time. That is not the frequency of mentorship. That is where you will find yourself buying courses or being in containers and feeling so defeated in them. And especially after they end, because there's no way to actually fulfill the made up unrealistic expectation you made in your mind. Like even if you reach the thing that you wanted to reach, you'll feel unfulfilled because you feel like, well, there could have been more, there should have been more. And maybe you've had this experience before as a client, and this is just self-awareness of like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was doing this. Of course, that experience was awful because I went in with these crazy expectations. And so I think of many of the really incredible client relationships that I have. And I'm like, what about that? The client comes in with an intention to learn from me, to work with me, to talk to me, to mastermind with me, to get answers from me, to grow with me. Yes. But there's no crazy thing of like, I must make X amount in X time, or I must get the trajectory of your results like as fast as you did, or there's none of that. It's like, I know that I'm going to do this work. I know that I'm going to grow. I want to learn from you. I'm ready to just like have you in my corner regularly, to plug in with you, to ask you questions, get on calls with you. Like, we're going to do it and it's going to work. A lot of my clients come in and just like, I have no intentions, but I know I want to be here. I have no expectations. I have no intentions. That's the number one thing that people say to me when they do my in-person events. Why are you here? What's your intention? I have no intention. I just want to hang out. I love it. Yes. But people struggle with this because there's this duality of, if I come in and I let go of these needy attachments, am I going to self-sabotage? Am I going to get nothing? Am I going to be too far on the other side that I just don't even show up? So this doesn't mean be complacent. This doesn't mean, oh, I'm not going to show up if I don't feel like it. That's not what it is. This doesn't mean self-sabotage, be complacent, not lean in. It means let go of needing to control everything and let the natural co-creation and the relationship happen, because it will, but it's not forced. Unrealistic expectations will kill mentorship. Okay? People pay a lot of money to have intentional conversations with a mentor who embodies what they want to embody. This is why, beginning back to what I said at the beginning, people will pay a lot of money for not just any mentor, the mentor that they feel connected to, because it's not just about hiring a mentor, it's about hiring the mentor you feel a relationship to. This is not just hire any coach, not just hire any mentor to have a mentor. It's the one that you feel connected to. And so people will pay you because they want you, and people will pay your rates because they want you, not anyone else. I have seen people, I've had people say this to me, Steph, you are my person. Amazing, I'm so happy. For whatever reason, whether it's practically they can't afford me, but you can actually afford anything because I'm pretty accessible. Let's just say it. But anyways, they don't come into my world. They hire a more less expensive mentor. And I've literally had this happen. Steph, I hired that mentor. I got nothing out of it. I didn't feel connected, but I chose them because they cost less. I wish I would have just hired you back then when I would have trusted you're the one for me. I've seen this happen because it's not just hire a business coach. It's not just hire a mindset coach. It's not just hire someone because they're a coach. It's hire the person that you feel connected to and someone values you. Because you hold a code, you hold wisdom, you hold something, you're someone's person. That's so big, but that's a relationship. That's a feeling. That's not a transaction. I could just go to, this is why coaching is not, you can't just Google an answer. That's not coaching, that's information. People don't hire me to learn something they can Google. Why? You could Google it. You hire me because I've got a frequency. You hire your mentor because they've got a frequency. People hire you because you have something. So people want to pay for a real, true, intimate relationship, right? And so oftentimes when a client doesn't see mentorship as that, and they see it as transactional, but you as a coach understand that mentorship is a relationship and you have someone come in, treat you like an object, how does that feel? It's one of the most interesting things. You know, mentorship is a co-creation. This client comes in and maybe you don't realize it and they see it as a transaction. You want to have a human relationship with them because that's how mentorship works. And they're treating you like you're just like in an aisle of Walmart that they can just purchase. Like, you're like, wait, what is this? What is this? Right? Okay, before I keep going, I want to catch up on some of the things in the chat. Yes, I'm going to talk about if and when you want to choose to teach your clients how to learn how to be a client. Huge piece of this. I love the approach of co-creation for mentorship. The client hires us to help them collapse time. What are your thoughts on the duality of co-creation and mentor coach being an authority, not being better on the specific topic, specifically from the coach mentor's perspective? 100%. I am not higher than my clients. I am different and I have mastered different areas than they have. And they come to me to learn the areas I've mastered, but they're very powerful in their own areas that they've mastered. I don't see it as I'm better than. A coach is not better than. A coach is different and they've mastered different areas. And so it's this equal co-creation because I see all of you as extremely powerful, but we've got different levels of power in different areas. Like that's how I see it. Okay. That is why I changed my one-to-one to be at least 4 months, no more short-term packages, because clients are so stressed and rush and show up with the mindset of I need to ask everything. I never had an ounce of compassion in my life until I worked with you, Steph. I love you, Lou. Okay. I seriously just want to, okay. I'm going to keep going at some of the questions if I might answer. If not, there might be time at the end. Okay. So this is another interesting dynamic to understand for yourself as a client, if you've been in it and you are in it, or to notice it from your clients, is circumstantial mentorship. I love you and I love our work together, but only on my good days. I love you and I love our work together, but only when I have evidence that it's working in X period of time. I love you and I love our work together, but only when I feel like you're not too far ahead. I love you and I love our work together, but only when I completely 100% agree with all of your advice. I love you and I love our work together, but only on days that I feel good and days that I feel sad. I don't like you. I hate you. I love you and I love our work together when I'm your top client and you don't feature other clients. Oh, you're featuring other clients. I don't love our work together. Like, have you ever noticed when your clients or when clients like rave, like, I love you, I love us, because they're in a high, they believe in themselves. What about the days that they don't feel good? I love mentorship, I'm all in, when they have the best, most empowering conversation on the mastermind call. Well, what about days when you're not featured or you're not on? Like, a lot of people have this, I love you and I love mentorship, but only when kind of energy. Now, obviously, we don't want that. We don't want to hold that frequency. And oftentimes we don't even realize that we're doing it. But these are things that can get in the way of a relationship. And why doesn't this work? Because we're not surrendering, we're not trusting, and we don't actually believe the coaching is going to work. We only believe it's going to work under perfect circumstances, which leads to hamster wheel results, which leads to circumstantial results, right? So it's like, there's a very big difference between a client being like, I love us, I love our work together, and they've never experienced a conflict in the relationship. They've never actually experienced a low in their results or a dip in their results. It's like, who's the client when there's a conflict? Who's the client when there's a misunderstanding? How does the client show up when, oh, this whole time in our work together, I've been going all the way up and now I'm having a dip in results? How the client is in the relationship and in the container actually speaks more volumes when they're in a low or there's a misunderstanding. And so it's like, I'm only committed to this and I only love you when things are perfect. But what about when there's a misunderstanding? We have to remember that these are real relationships. The relationship that you have with your partner, with your family, with your kids, with your friends, they take work. You have misunderstandings with your partners, right? You have misunderstandings with your kids, your friends, your family, but then all of a sudden, oftentimes, and this is when a client has a coach on a pedestal, if there's a disagreement or a misunderstanding or a mistake, the amount of clients that like leave or abort or whatever because of one misunderstanding is crazy. And this is one of the biggest pieces that I think is so harmful to the industry, because people, especially on the client end, have trouble holding these relationships. Am I only in mentorship when it's sunshine and rainbows? I'm in mentorship when it's all. Because do I only expect results when it's sunshine and rainbows? I expect results through all of life. Life has a lot of things to it. Mentorship has a lot of seasons to it. And so it's like, it's one thing. And this is why I think a lot of people coach hop for the wrong reasons. I only like it when it's exciting at the beginning because it's positive and exciting. So I'm not going to stay longer than a month, because after a month, things might get boring and then they're really going to see the real me. And oh my God, this, like, so I'm going to go get another coach and I'm going to join a new thing because it's going to be new and exciting and positive, but not until it gets too serious. And then not until I face an actual problem, because I don't want to have to hold that. So, and hop to the new one. Like, maybe you've done that, or maybe you've experienced people do that. But that's from this unhealthy fear of not being able to settle through all different dynamics. I don't agree with everything my mentor says. Does that make her a bad mentor? Does that mean I should leave? Oh, you said something I don't like, bye. Like, that's not how life works. We've had conflict, we've had disagreements. Does that mean, oh, leave, this relationship needs to end? No. But imagine if I would have ended and left, I would have robbed myself of growth with my mentor, because it was like, oh, we had a disagreement, I can't hold this. Right? And so just interesting to notice, where do we go into these dynamics or play these games, and we're robbing ourselves of not only the growth in the space, but part of mentorship is learning how we hold ourselves in a relationship that's also a paid relationship, that's a professional relationship, but you're also forming a personal relationship. So that's a lot of different dynamics to hold. And why people struggle to stay is because they're like, I don't know how I should feel in all of this, so I should just leave. But when we leave, we rob ourselves from gaining the emotional intelligence to be able to hold really powerful relationships. I do believe, for my journey myself, the choice to stay with my mentor for 5.5 plus years going strong, I have navigated so many seasons of my life and my business, and so many seasons of her life and her business. Through everything, I stayed the course. I believe that has played a huge role for me being the coach I am today and being so neutral, because like, I've been through it all. So I can hold you through it all, and I can hold me through it all. Like, but we don't learn that unless we're able to hold ourselves through it. It is such a mirror for the kind of clients that we choose to be. to then the kind of clients that we attract in and how we hold the space, right? And so it's like circumstantial mentorship. I would just look at, you know, for you as a client, or, oh, like maybe a client is being like this to you, like I'm only leading in, I'm only plugging in on their good days, when things are working, when they completely agree, but who are they when they're having a dip or having a low? And just, it's not about being like, oh, how dare you, don't act like this. It's like, oh, I can have compassion for a client not knowing how to hold this dynamic. Okay. I think this is a good part to talk about this piece, and I'll circle back here as well. Having this self-awareness and compassion for clients then will allow you to be a better mentor, because then it's not getting mad at your client for being a certain way. It's understanding that they're still understanding how to act in this dynamic with you. So I've had many people, you know, come into mentorship and they've maybe never been in it before, so they don't know how to be. And so that's part of, I believe, our journey is like being a client in mentorship. You learn how to be a client in mentorship. And so you can guide your client, especially when you have the self-awareness to be like, my client has me on a pedestal right now, or my client is sucking the life out of the container, not because they hate me and they want to torture me, but because they're scared and they're intimidated and they care and they don't know how to hold it. So maybe I can guide them and say, listen, I love that you're so excited. You want to ask me all these questions, but I want to show you what happens when we slow it down a little bit and we're a little more intentional. Like that could be a great coaching moment. I want to give you the opportunity to have the permission. And this is something that you could think about after this class, is you're allowed to make sure that clients are at a certain level of emotional intelligence and leadership before they come into your container. You're allowed that. You're allowed to be like, I want to make sure you're at a certain level, because there's no way in hell I'm coaching you on how to be a client in here. Like, you're allowed to be like that. But you're allowed to also be like, I understand that my clients maybe have never been in a space like this, so I'm happy to coach them through what it's like. That has been the most interesting thing for me, where I've been like, I feel like you're sucking the life out of the container. Can we talk about it? Where is this energy coming from? That has been some of the most incredible mentorship moments for many of my clients and me, because that's not an easy conversation. If a client or a coach brings that forward to a client, but that moment will change a client's life. Because what is that a mirror for in all other areas of their life? They're needy. They're trying to get all these things out of all other areas. That's going to show up in the relationship with their mentor. So that's going to be a beautiful moment, not only to clean up the space that you're holding, but for how that will translate into all different areas will be incredible. So you're allowed to be like, I expect you to know how to hold yourself in my container. You can be so unapologetic about that. Or you can hold the responsibility if you're ready to handle it. And we often don't know if we're ready until we have to handle it, to help a client navigate all of these dynamics when they're in the container. Now, obviously, there's a difference between a client being harmful to you or the space. That's a different thing than just like someone just needs some help with some stuff, with their energy, with their mindset. That's a very different thing. Okay, I want to talk to you about proximity. The internet likes to joke about this amazing word, proximity. But we like to joke about it, like, oh, like you think you could just hire a coach and be in their proximity and, you know, get results. But here's the thing. People pay when done right. Being in someone's proximity will change your life when done right with the right intentions. So let me tell you what doesn't work. Oh, I read on the internet that if I pay to be in someone's proximity, I will become a millionaire. I'm going to join Steph's mastermind and I'm going to be in her proximity. And oop, I did not become a millionaire. And now I'm mad. That is not how it works. Be like, paying to be in proximity in an intentional way is, I want to be close to this person to see how this person embodies all of these different things that I want to embody. I want to see how this person navigates challenges. I want to see how this person carries themselves. To be close and to observe intentionally, to be close and actually be in proximity to ask questions and dialogue, that's when the proximity thing works. When you have an open heart and an open mind and compassion and all of that, then proximity works. But proximity doesn't work when it's like, I'm just going to be there, and being there means I'm going to, calibrate to their frequency, but not if you're doing the work. And so a lot of people, again, struggle with this because it does work, but with the right intention and with when someone can hold themselves in a powerful way as a client. And so this conversation, when you see people talk about it as well on social media, I want you to have discernment and intelligence, because it's not as simple as that, but it can be as simple as that, right? So this piece is so important. Syncing up to your mentor, syncing up to their level of whatever it is that you want to learn from them, and being in their proximity doesn't have to mean constant access, constant contact. Someone could have constant contact with their mentor, but it be from a place of lack and needy energy and suck the life out of the container. I'm in close proximity, but it's not working. Someone could be in proximity to me and not even ask anything and get everything from the container because of their intention. So I want to share this story with you, and it's so powerful. There was a client in the collective for 10 months. Well, she's in her year 2, but for 10 months, this is like, I think the one person in my career that I'm like, who the hell are you? Are you in this? Like, I know everyone who joins things, like whether they show up live or not, like I remember everybody. But this person was in the collective for 10 months and I had zero idea. They never joined a Facebook group for the programs. They never showed up live. They never commented on anything. They never tagged me or shared any, like nothing. 10 months. I could have assumed this person came in, or like, I fucking hate this, like goodbye. Like that's what I could have assumed. On their month 10, I get a message. Steph, I joined the collective back in blah, blah, blah. At first, there was a lot of resistance because like, I don't know if I get this kind of stuff. Like the way that you talk about it, I mean, it's not really my thing. Like, I don't really get it. I don't really like, she had a hard time connecting, but she stayed plugged in, even though that there was some resistance, even though she didn't love everything that I said or didn't love the way that I taught everything. She stayed plugged in because she knew there's something for me here. 10 months later, I get a message. I've transformed. My business has transformed. I cannot believe the way that you teach these things. It's changed my life. I'm so happy. This has been so transformational. I'm like, who are you? She was in my proximity for 10 months. I had no idea, but she was leaning in. She was curious, open heart, open mind. It changed her life. Boom, here she is. Because she chose to be a client in the right way of like, I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to open my mind. I don't have to agree with everything. I don't have to understand everything right away. I don't have to love it all. I don't have to plug into everything. I don't have to be on everything, but I am going to make this investment work. And there was something in you that I wanted to hire you, and I'm going to open my heart until I get that thing. And 10 months, she got that thing and boom, done. We as clients get to invest in whatever we want to invest in. And the moment we choose to, we say, there is a transformation for me here. And you choose to find the thing. You may hire mentors. You hate them. You might realize I freaking hate this person. I hate all of these things. This is not how I want to do life. And this is not how I want to blah, blah, blah. You know how much you transform from seeing something you don't like? But that's a choice. That's not, oh, I'm going to refund the entire container and bash the person on the internet. I learned from you that this is not my way. Thank God I learned that. But you have to choose to find that. Or it's choose to find the pieces of the person, the coach, the teacher, the mentor that you want to embody. So it's like this client doesn't necessarily want a business model like mine. That's fine. Doesn't necessarily want to, like, doesn't have the same frequency, the vibe, the personality as me. That's fine. But she pulled the pieces by having an open heart and open mind, be like, I'm going to find the things for me here. And she did, and her life and her business changed. That's an incredible client. That's a person who takes radical responsibility of like, there's something for me here. I don't see it right away. Instead of running, instead of not following everything, I'm going to stay plugged in. Oh, thank God I did. Because I got the thing here. Do you know how many people plug into or pull out of mentorship so quick because it doesn't resonate? That one course, don't like it, I'm out. Don't like that answer. Didn't like this course. Didn't like this thing. Goodbye. Like that robs people of so many things, not even the things that are coming that they can learn, but it robs people of holding this self-awareness and radical responsibility to choose to find a transformation. That's huge. So I find it interesting and in alignment with the name of this masterclass, Synchronicity. The definition of synchronicity is the occurrence of meaningful coincidences that seem to have no cause. The underlying idea is there is unity in diversity. That's my favorite piece. There is unity in diversity. You don't need to be like your mentor. For the mentorship to work, you don't have to love everything about who they are and what they're doing. Your mentor doesn't need to be like you. You are different. Contrast in mentorship is different. There is unity in diversity. So many of my best client relationships, they're so different than me. Their businesses are so different than me. Their business models are so different than me. Their personal life is so different than me. Everything is so different. Their views on so many things are so different. But why do we have the most incredible relationship? Because it's not about needing to be validated. It's about we have similar values and there's certain pieces of things that I want to learn from you and we can respect each other. That's solid. Imagine having the fear of your clients need to love everything that you are and everything that you say, like that, the fear of like, oh my God, like that's not how I want to have a business. That's not how I want to have a life. That's not freedom to me in my coaching business, is the fear of what if clients disagree? And if they disagree, they're going to like cause a shitstorm. Like this is just not what it is. But I can understand why a lot of coaches and mentors operate from this fear, because clients who don't know how to hold themselves can cause a problem. And we don't want that to happen. Right. And so this is just so empowering on the coach end and the client end. It's not about the same. It's not about being the same. It's not about getting the same results. It's about taking what they give you, receiving what you're open to receive. And the way that lands for you, the way that you experience it will change your life if you choose for it to change your life. This is so important to distinguish. And for some people, they thrive when tapping into and witnessing someone else's energy embodiment. I think it's a human design thing. Can't remember which center. Yeah. So it's like, there are so many people who come into my world and say, Steph, I love being around your energy. And that's the right intention of like being around you activates me, motivates me, inspires me. That's good for me. I'm going to pay for that. But when you come in with the wrong intention of like, oh, I just heard that being around you is going to transform me. It's like that, please, no, we can't. But the distinction is very important. How do you have an honest conversation with a client about how much pressure they've been putting on you if you have been working together for almost a year? I get a million questions from her in Voxer, and his conversation with me about how she felt her communication was dipping. So this just sounds like you've got to have a conversation, and I would create some new boundaries. If a client was coming to me, a new client especially, because they probably don't know or they're afraid or all these things, and there was just too much, I would just say, based off of this dynamic, we're going to keep it to 3 questions a day. Like, to be very honest, if someone just felt like it was too much, putting that boundary will teach them how to have intentional conversations, and will teach them it's not about the time or number of questions, it's about the quality. So I would put up maybe a different boundary with some of those clients. This is an interesting dynamic as well, and I'll share it here. is I've realized this as well, as I've entered a little bit of a new iteration with my close proximity containers and one-to-one, I actually realized that some of my boundaries I'm now knocking down with some of my closer proximity clients. Meaning there was a time in my business where I needed to have more boundaries because the level of client that I had needed more boundaries. But now the level of client that I have, especially my one-to-one, it's like, hello, like they're so independent. They've got so many things that if I see a certain client message me on a Saturday, I'll open and I'll answer, because I know it's not, hi, Steph, can we redo my IG bio today? It's an emergency. Like, I know it's not that question. It's like, if they're messaging me on a Saturday, I'm like, tell me what's up. I'm here for it. Like, I know, but there was a time where a level of client would be messaging me every day. And it's just like, it's not an urgency. It's not an urgent thing. So if I have different boundaries now for certain clients, because I know if I cross my own boundaries, they don't expect me to. They're like, oh my God, you answered me today. Amazing. Let's chat. Like, you know what I mean? And so the boundary thing is really important to match the level of where the client is at. And so it just sounds like you need to adjust the boundaries for her to be challenged to hold the container in a little bit of a different way. Okay. Now, the last piece, how are you guys feeling? There's a few more things that I want to touch on. The last piece, and I made a thread about this for any of you who are on threads this morning. You might have saw it, as I said, that we don't often know if clients hire us for the wrong reasons until after the container ends. This is so big, and I wanted to share it here. When someone comes in something and joins a mentorship container and they're so excited because they are at the peak of how much they believe in themselves, they just made an investment, they love you, and now they get to learn from you, like that energy. They love you. They're so excited. That happens at the beginning of a relationship. The middle of a container, there's still excitement. They're showing up, like there's movement, there's results, there's conversations, like they feel good. What might start to happen for clients, this might have happened to you in the past, now you'll have the self-awareness for your clients, is when the end of a container starts to get closer, that's an interesting dynamic for a client to hold. Oh my God, the 3-month container is ending. In 2 weeks, I will not be in this container anymore. Oh my God, did I get my money's worth? Oh my God, did I get all my questions answered? Oh my God, did I get the results that I wanted to by now? Oh my God, I just built this relationship with this mentor, but the container is ending. I don't know how to hold myself now. We love each other now. We know about each other. Can I message this person on Instagram? Can I DM them? Like, I've been in their world for 3 months and now it's coming into an end. Like a client, there's a lot for a client when that happens. And that's a dynamic that is interesting because someone might freeze there and be like, I don't know how to hold myself. I don't know how to end in a beautiful way because I feel insecure about it. I feel all these feelings are coming up. And so have you ever seen someone, maybe for yourself, or you've witnessed peers, this happens to peers, it's like a client ends a container, they leave, they end, and it's like the next day on social media, they're like, that was the worst thing, or I don't know how to hold myself, or the coaching industry. Like, I've actually seen this happen. It makes me so sad. But it's like, how do people go from this being the best thing in the world, it ends, they're no longer in the container, to then it being like, that wasn't the best thing in the world. Like, and I don't think anyone's trying to do that. I think that it's a client often doesn't know how to hold that just ended. I paid for it. Now it's ended. I'm not in there anymore. I have feelings about how I'm not in there anymore. I'm not close to that person, but I was close to that person. Like, unfortunately, there's a level of emotional intelligence that might be lacking for how to end a container. I've seen people just like be in my world for a very long time and like not even say goodbye. And I'm like, but here's the other piece. And this is why we need emotional intelligence as mentors, because I don't make it mean anything about me if a client doesn't say goodbye. I'm like, well, maybe they're not good at goodbyes. I have someone very special to me in my world who's been a client for me with me since the very beginning. She told me this and I was like, wow, thank you for telling me this. She's like, I don't do well with goodbyes because of a death that happened when she was younger. And she's like, goodbyes for me, saying goodbye to someone, like seeing someone leave, like I can't. She never attended calls when someone was ending my mastermind because she can't handle a goodbye. And so the fact that her goodbye to me in my world was a little different, I had compassion for that because I'm like, that's her process. But could you imagine if I was like, well, that client didn't send me a love note and a gift to say goodbye, so they must hate me. Like that would be, that's just not true. And so where maybe are you taking on that feeling or that responsibility for how a client not only shows up in your container or how they end? And so we want to hold incredible emotional intelligence and a mindset to have the strength to be like, people are navigating so much as they come in, as they hold themselves in our containers, and as they leave. And that's their responsibility. Which just brings this whole conversation full circle to like, whose responsibility is it for clients to come in and hold this level of emotional intelligence? Is it my responsibility to teach you how to hold yourself? Is it your responsibility to know that you can hold yourself before you come into a paid container? Is it your responsibility that if you're in the middle of a paid container, you're like, oh, I don't know how to hold myself, to figure out how to hold yourself, you know? And like, I just think that this is a bigger conversation to be had and something to think about. I didn't know how it would be like for me to feel how it feels to be a client until I was a client. I had to hold what came up and I chose to just navigate that and stay the course. That's what we want to think about for ourselves as clients and for ourselves as coaches. This is a conversation. I don't know the answer for you. This is a different answer for everybody, but is it your job to coach a client to stay in a container if they don't know how to hold themselves in a container? Like, do you want to take on that responsibility? I had a conversation with one of my mastermind clients about this yesterday. I was like, listen, if you want to coach a client on how to have the energy and the mindset to stay in a commitment, you get to if you want to. But also you can choose at the moment someone commits, that's their commitment. I'm not going to coach you through having to stay or not. That's the commitment. And so people struggle with this. And this is why there's so many dynamics of I paid. And when I paid, I felt good. Oh, I'm having a time in the container where I don't feel good. Can I pull the plug on this commitment? No, you cannot. But when people are in their emotions, they think they can. And so again, if you're like, I make sure everyone's solid before you step in, or if someone's not solid, I will coach them through. That's something that you could think about. But one of the things that I truly believe ruins, for lack of a better term, coach-client relationships and containers is someone disrupting the space by wanting to leave because they can't hold themselves. It's like, how are we supposed to have conversations about what we're supposed to talk about in here? But I now need to coach you on how to hold yourself. Like, you know, and so sometimes there's space for that, or sometimes you might get to a point in your career where like, I'm not doing that in a container anymore. It's just not worth the time, the money, the energy. And so something to think about. This is the thing that I want to say to you. I have found the most transformational thing about being a client, about being a coach, about being a mentor, and being dedicated to my own growth as how I hold myself as a client and how I hold myself as a mentor, and having staying power in that has gotten me to where I am in terms of the leadership that I have, the person that I am, the teacher, the coach, the mentor that I am, and where I'm at financially. Because I chose, I'm going to learn how to do this through all the ups and downs. I'm going to learn how to do this as I witness myself feel all these feelings. I'm going to learn how to do this in the right way, the way that I'm proud of, in a mature way, in like, I'm just going to take that on as a client and as a coach. And that's the most rewarding thing, because these dynamics are the foundation of our work. How can a client get a transformation if they come in and they've got up all these blocks? The work doesn't work. So it's like noticing this within ourselves as clients. Number one, is that's how we work on it to be a next level client and a student. But at the same time, that's how we lead our community and our clients better when we're living and breathing and embodying it, like this staying power piece of like, I'm going to be really proud on how I hold myself through all of these dynamics, because let's just be serious. These dynamics can be complicated, but we want to get ourselves and our clients to be at a level where it's not complicated. I come in, I trust you, I do the work, I'm attached, but I'm not attached. Like, we want it to be there, because when it's there, the next level co-creation happens. This energy of like, you're my client, or no, this energy of like, you're my coach. I respect you, you're professional. I respect your boundaries. I'm here to learn from you, but also we've got a great relationship and I like you and you're good. Like that's that light frequency that holds the duality of this matters. This is a paid container. This is a business expense. Like, this is all these things, but also I'm not going to take it so seriously that I can't even handle myself because I'm so frantic that it needs to work right away. Like, that's not the vibe. The relationship that I have with my mentor is extremely light. It's intentional. We have great conversations. I get great answers, great wisdom. I'm here to learn. I lean in, I do the work, but it's this light thing that it's just like, I love you and you've got things that you can teach me. Great. We'll figure it out along the way. Like, there's no crazy pressure. There's no like, oh, you did this and this. It's just this light, respectful, mature thing. And for those of you here, and your clients who have that energy, that's the best relationship. That's when the best teaching and coaching happens. If you've experienced the opposite of that, when someone comes in, it's like this heavy thing and this pressure thing. It's like you freeze because you've got so much fear around your client that the coaching dwindles because you're so afraid that because this client has this expectation or you on a pedestal, and that's just not, it's not how we do this work. And so I've seen a lot of people reach great success in their coaching businesses, but then struggle with this piece of emotional intelligence within their clients and their own dynamic, that it almost turns into self-sabotage because maybe they've had bad experiences with clients and it's like, I don't want to ever face that again. And so I do believe that the more that we grow in all of these areas for us first, the more that we're going to attract people who are ready to hold these awesome relationships, the work gets better. And I'm so happy to lead these kinds of masterclasses, to have the Karma program where we can understand these dynamics, excel in our own communication, our own emotional intelligence, our own mindset, that then you can teach your clients or create more awareness around this on your social media for people to really come into coaching when they're ready to hold these dynamics, instead of coming in for the wrong reasons and being like, what the heck? You know what I mean? And so this is just good for ourselves, for our own peace of mind, and for the work that we're actually doing. And so it's like we're taught, or we teach our clients to show up to calls, take the notes, do the work, but it's like, this is the actual dynamic that matters. And we want to create these healthy spaces. And so I just want to remind you that this work, as you experience these things for yourself as a client, you'll notice it in you, and then you'll start to notice it in your clients, and you'll be able to guide them in a more empowered way, instead of feeling like this resentment energy, like the one question of this client asking a bunch of questions, what do I do? It's not because she's trying to suck the life out of you. It's because maybe she's in fear, or maybe she's like worried, like if I don't get it all, and coach her through that in an empowering way and watch how that transforms. And so it's going to be the most incredible thing for you to lead with this knowingness now as a client in the spaces that you're a client in, and as a mentor, to hold spaces and really understand that, as simple as it is, a client coming into your work, it's so much more than that. It's the client's experience. And we often don't know a client's experience. I cannot be responsible for how you feel coming into a space. I can't be. I just can't be. And so you can't be responsible to know how a client is holding everything, especially if they're not telling you. So it's just leading with compassion and remembering we don't know why a client is coming in with a certain kind of way, or why they have this projection, but to have compassion will be the most incredible thing. And to have compassion for your teachers, your coaches, and your mentors, because you also don't know what they've been through or what they're going through that day, and they're showing up. So to hold all of this is a really powerful thing. Okay. So how are you all feeling? I love this. I think this conversation is so important, and it's just so interesting because this awareness will just change everything for you as a mentor and as a client. Okay. So we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up here. This module is included in the Karma program. If you are not in the Karma program and you purchase this separately, you can upgrade this separate payment to the Karma program. And I do also want to say we made it official now that when you join the collective, you get instant access to the Karma program, because I'm just at a level where having this as one of the first things before you go into any other program with me is I just think really phenomenal, and something that I wanted to officially put in as well, which is quite exciting. So we will send you the replay to this. If you want to upgrade to the full Karma program, there's a few things I want to share. One, purchasing it gives you access to all ongoing updates. And if I ever do a full session live again, you're in it, you're grandfathered with one purchase. So yes, Meg, you're going to love when you listen to the whole program, you're going to love it. And so it's one purchase, you get all updates. So it's an investment that will grow, because I have plans to continually add to it and do Q&As and stuff like that. So it's a really awesome thing. So just message the team, or when you get the replay email, you can reply back to the team and they can help you do an upgrade, which will be perfect. Okay. The other thing that I do want to say, if you feel called to, DMing me how you're feeling, or a takeaway, or what you would say to someone if they were on the fence of experiencing even just this masterclass, I would really appreciate it. This is one of these topics, like I said in this course, a lot of people don't realize that they need it until after they get in it. And so I'm very excited to continue this as a main piece of my work going forward in the industry and just in my body of work. And so if you feel just from a very genuine place, like there's no pressure of what you say or whatever, that would really mean the world to me. Okay. So this is a very fabulous way to spend a Saturday morning for those of you who are here live with me. And so I appreciate you being here today. I'm so grateful, and thank you for opening your heart and your mind to these kinds of conversations. And I just wish you the most incredible rest of your Saturday and an amazing weekend. And I will see you where we are connected next. I'm sending you so much love. Bye, everybody.